If you think time travel only exists in sci-fi movies, you clearly haven't stepped into retro stage. It's a legend old as time, and today we're bending the fashion timeline and hopping through the iconic decades, one outfit at a time. From vintage glam to throwback silhouettes, we're trying on retro stage looks that feels like they were pulled straight out of the past, but styled for today. And stick around, because each decade comes with its own surprises and urban legends. You won't want to miss which era steals the show. And before we jump through time, make sure you hit subscribe and give this video a like, because we're mixing history, fashion, and a little time travel magic right now. In a faded 1931 photograph, a woman stands frozen in time, hat neatly set, coat buttoned tight, yet her hand tells a different story. She's holding something small and rectangular, pressed to her ear, her posture uncannily familiar. Decades before satellite screens or signal bars, it looks exactly like a cell phone. Some say it was nothing more than a hearing aid prototype or a trick of perspective. Others aren't so sure. Her expression is focused, intent, like she's listening, not posing. If this image truly captured a moment out of place, who is she speaking to, and from what time? Perhaps the photo didn't just preserve history, perhaps it caught something or someone passing through it. 1941, a modern man in a photo. A photograph was taken during the reopening of the South Forks Bridge. In 1941, it shows a man wearing sunglasses resembling modern styles. He had on a printed t-shirt and a camera that looks decades ahead of its time. Clothing historians argue some items existed, but not together in that style. The combination of fashion and tech feels anachronistic, especially for a random crowd photo. In 1954, a man stepped off a phone at Haneda Airport in Tokyo, and according to officials, he should not have existed. He was well-dressed, calm, confident, and carrying a passport from a country that no one had ever heard of. The country was called Torrid. At first, airport officials assumed that it was a mistake, a forgery, a language barrier. But when they examined the passport, everything checked out. It had entry stamps, visas, official seals. Papers showed wear, like it had been used for years. When questioned, the man grew confused, then irritated. He explained that Torrid had existed for over 1,000 years, that it was located between France and Spain. Officials pulled out a map. Torrid wasn't there. The man leaned in, pointed firmly, and said, "It's right there." Where he pointed was Andorra. The man insisted that he had traveled the world many times. He named neighboring countries, currencies, political leaders, and everything that he said made sense, except for the one detail that mattered most. His country did not exist in our world. Officials detained him for further questioning and placed him in a nearby hotel under guard. They assured him the issue would be resolved in the morning. It never was. Next day, guards entered the room, but the man was gone. There were no broken windows, no unlocked doors, no signs of escape. His passport, documents, and personal belongings had all vanished with him. There was no record of him ever leaving the building. No arrest reports, no deportation file, no follow-up explanation. Just a man who arrived out of nowhere and disappeared just as completely. Some say it was an elaborate hoax, but no forged document has ever been matched to the passports. Others say that it was a psychological episode, but how do you explain customs stamps, from countries that verified their authenticity. And then there's the theory that refuses to die, that the man wasn't lying, that he came from a parallel timeline, a version of Earth where Torrid existed instead of Andorra, and that somehow briefly these timelines overlapped. If that's true, then the most terrifying part isn't that he disappeared, it's that he arrived at all. And if one man could cross into our world by accident, how many others never made it back? Let's jump to the 1960s and the 1970s. What if time travel didn't begin with a machine, but a chair? In the late 1960s, at the far tip of Long Island, sat a military base the government said was no longer in use, but locals knew better. They called it Camp Hero. Electronics failed near it. Compasses spun, and people who went close said they felt disoriented, like time itself was unstable. Officially, it was never our research. Unofficially, some say it was the birthplace of America's most dangerous experiment, the Montauk Project. Inside the base was a device later referred to as the Montauk Chair, a metal chair wired with electrodes, amplifiers, and frequency generators. When a person sat down, their brain waves were amplified, not to read thoughts, but to make them real. Witnesses claimed fear could manifest objects, thoughts open doorways, and with the right frequency, time itself could bend. According to those who say they were there, experiments escalated quickly. Subjects were allegedly sent forward, sometimes decades ahead, and others, they were sent backwards into moments that had already passed. Some returned confused, shaken, and physically changed. Others came back older or younger, and some never come back at all. No records, no names, just gaps. The most disturbing claim that children were used, runaways, orphans, kids that no one would miss. They were said to be chosen because they were easier to influence and easier to erase. There is no document proving that this happened, but there is also no document proving that it didn't. By the late 1970s, witnesses say the experiments began to spiral out of control. One account describes a moment when fear itself created something physical, something that wasn't supposed to exist. Panic followed. Power was cut. Equipment destroyed. And the project was shut down, almost overnight. Camp Hero was abandoned soon after. To this day, the government denies that time travel was ever attempted there. But we know that this much is true. Mind control experiments existed. Camp Hero existed. And large portions of the records are missing. So the question isn't whether time travel is possible. The question is if it already happened. Would anyone ever really tell us? Thank you for watching our video with retro stage outfits. Let me know which decade and story was the most interesting. Which did you like best? Have you ever shopped at Retro Stage? I will have everything linked in the description box below so you can shop these styles and just check out what else they have to offer. All right, guys, thanks for watching and joining us today. Have a good one. Bye.